a welcome to After Hours Tales tonight, where we explore a question that challenges everything we know about history and go deep into documentaries and scientists' research of the forgotten 1700 catastrophe that reset the world. In the quiet stillness of the Pacific Northwest, the coastlines were calm. The night was serene. Imagine the crisp breeze sweeping through towering trees, the sound of waves gently lapping at the shore. A peaceful world. But beneath the serenity, beneath this untouched landscape, something unimaginable was about to occur. For centuries, the Cascadia subduction zone had been silently gathering pressure, the oceanic plate slowly sliding beneath the continental plate. It had been building for millennia. On January 26th, 1700, the Earth trembled. A violent force, magnitude 9.0, unleashed its wrath in the quiet night. The Cascadia earthquake struck, a tremor so powerful it forever reshaped the coastline. Before we go any further, I'd like to ask you something simple. Where are you listening from right now? Not only on the map, but within your day. Are you settling down after hours that felt a little too full or easing into rest earlier than usual? And what time is it where you are? It feels right to ask because the story we're about to enter exists beyond our usual sense of time. The world we're exploring tonight doesn't follow clocks or calendars. It unfolds across stretches so vast they hardly seem to move at all. If this space feels calming to you, or if gentle science helps your thoughts relax their hold, you're always welcome to like the video or subscribe. It simply helps this quiet corner reach others who may also be looking for something steady and unhurried to listen to, though there's never any rush here. Now let's begin gently as we dive back into the forgotten 1700. Catastrophe that reset the world. For minutes the ground shook, cities vanished, the coastline dropped, sinking beneath the ocean's weight. But no one recorded it. No one could. The people who lived through it had no instruments to measure such a cataclysmic event. The world was unaware. This earthquake remained forgotten for 300 years. But what happened that night would later unfold through the work of scientists and historians, uncovering the truth of an event that had been lost to time. Today we understand the devastation, but for centuries it remained a mystery. In the ripple effect, tsunamis and global echoes. While the earth beneath the Pacific Northwest trembled, the ocean reacted. A tsunami, a massive wall of water, surged outward from the epicenter, crossing the Pacific Ocean. 9 hours later, it struck Japan. The waves hit the coast with no warning. No earthquake preceded it. The people of Japan, caught off guard, had no explanation. It was an orphan tsunami, a wave that came from nowhere. For years, the origin of this destructive wave was unknown. How could a tsunami strike without any seismic activity? Scientists were left puzzled, but through careful research and historical records from Japan, they made a discovery. The tsunami that devastated Japan was the direct result of the Cascadia earthquake. The same earthquake that had violently reshaped the Pacific Northwest. Across the Pacific, oceans apart, one event had connected the world in a way no one could have imagined. 9 hours. A tsunami's journey across the ocean, a silent messenger of destruction. Now, the forgotten legacy. Ghost forests and hidden clues. The earthquake and tsunami left scars that could not be hidden. In Oregon and Washington, a strange phenomenon occurred. Ghost forests, towering trees, now dead, stood as silent witnesses. These ancient trees, once part of thriving coastal forests, had been drowned in salt water as the land itself sank during the earthquake. Today, these ghostly remains stand as eerie markers of the event. The trees, though long dead, are still preserved in time, bearing witness to the powerful forces of nature. Through the study of these forests, scientists were able to confirm the exact moment of the earthquake. The rings of trees provided evidence. The trees died in unison, marking the moment of destruction. These ghost forests became not just a natural wonder, but a record of an event that had once seemed lost. The stories told by the indigenous tribes of the region spoke of the great shaking, the flood, the loss of entire villages. For years, these stories were thought to be myths, until the evidence was discovered, confirming that the indigenous knowledge was far more than just folklore. The earthquake that devastated the land also preserved its memory in the trees, a memory waiting to be rediscovered. There was a world, unaware, the global context of 1700. The Cascadia earthquake was not just an isolated event. It was a small part of a larger, more complex global context. While the Pacific Northwest was being reshaped, the world beyond was embroiled in its own struggles. The early 1700s were a time of great instability. In Europe, the War of the Spanish Succession raged, reshaping political landscapes. Across the globe, climate change, famine, and colonial exploitation were ravaging populations. The Little Ice Age was in full swing, creating food shortages and destabilizing governments. In Africa and Asia, wars and colonial expansion were also having catastrophic effects on local populations. The earthquake in Cascadia was just one piece of a larger puzzle. Across the world, civilizations were resetting. Political boundaries were changing, economies were collapsing, and humanity was facing upheaval on a global scale. The Cascadia event served as a reminder of just how fragile human societies were and how interconnected the world truly is. The Earth is not a passive backdrop to human history. Nature's forces are always at work, shaping and resetting the world in ways we may never fully understand. Now about the reset. Lessons from 1700 and our future. The 1700. Cascadia earthquake may have left the world shaken, but from its ruins, humanity found a way to rebuild, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and scientifically. This disaster wasn't simply about the destructive force of nature. It was about resilience. The resilience of the people who lived through it, and the resilience we continue to build on in the present day. In the aftermath of the quake, the world was forced to confront the unpredictability of nature. But the real lesson wasn't that nature is chaotic. It's that we can learn from it. We now know that the Cascadia subduction zone still carries the potential for another earthquake of equal or even greater magnitude. But this knowledge doesn't leave us powerless. It gives us the tools to prepare, to adapt, and to survive. This is the real reset, the opportunity for us to learn from the past and shape the future. What's truly powerful is how the lessons from 1700 have shaped our modern world. For years, people didn't even know the Cascadia earthquake happened. It was a forgotten disaster. But through the work of geologists, scientists, and historians, we can now read the Earth's records, understand the forces that shaped the landscape, and most importantly, be better prepared for what may come next. When we think about this reset, we must consider the technological advances that have stemmed from this event. Tsunami warning systems, seismic prediction technologies, and emergency response protocols are all direct outcomes of the research conducted after the Cascadia earthquake. These tools, built on the backbone of decades of scientific inquiry, exist today because of the lessons learned from an event that was once lost to history. But it's not just about the physical preparation. It's about the emotional and psychological strength we draw from adversity. The indigenous people of the Pacific Northwest, whose communities were deeply affected by the earthquake, have passed down their stories for generations. These stories speak of resilience, of communities that rebuilt themselves from the ground up. They remind us that no matter how devastating the catastrophe, the human spirit endures. It's this spirit that will carry us through any challenges that lie ahead. If there's one thing we can take from the 1700 Cascadia earthquake, it's that we can't predict the future, but we can prepare for it. And when the next big earthquake strikes, because it will eventually, we will be ready. As we look back at this massive catastrophe, we have to ask ourselves, what has this reset taught us about the world we live in? Has it made you reflect on your own life? On how prepared you are, not just for natural disasters, but for the challenges you face in your daily life? When we face adversity, we often think it's the end, but it's important to remember that adversity is a teacher. The Cascadia earthquake was devastating, but it also gave us the tools to protect future generations. Just as the land was reset, we too have the chance to reset our perspective, to adapt and to improve. As you reflect on this event, think about how it might change the way you approach your life. Are you preparing for the inevitable challenges, whether big or small? What steps are you taking to build your own resilience, both emotionally and physically? The lessons from 1700 are still relevant today, and they are yours to apply. Now, I want to hear from you. How did tonight's episode sink in for you? Did the story of the 1700 Cascadia earthquake resonate with you? Do you feel inspired to take a closer look at the world around you, to understand the forces of nature and the resilience that lies within us all? If tonight's episode inspired you, and you'd like to dive even deeper into these stories of resilience, discovery, and global history, make sure to subscribe. We've got more episodes coming your way, each exploring different moments in history where the world faced tremendous challenges and emerged stronger. I'd love to know your thoughts, whether you have questions, reflections, or your own stories to share. Join the conversation and stay tuned for our next episode, where we'll continue exploring the forgotten stories of the world's past that still shape the future. But for now, take a moment. As the day winds down, I want to wish you a peaceful night, and I look forward to having you join us next time. Stay tuned, stay prepared, and as always, stay curious.